When you fail, you have two choices: crumble or grow. The Stoics chose growth every time. Welcome to the channel. Failure is one of the most universal experiences that we're all going to face. But it doesn't have to be this crushing experience that just crushes our dreams and crushes our spirit. If you think about what separates the people that are successful from those who aren't, it's not necessarily talent. It's not necessarily luck. It's resilience. It's being able to pick yourself up after failure and come back stronger than before. So today I wanted to talk about an idea from Stoicism that can help us survive any failure, which is the idea of loving our fate. This is something that Marcus Aurelius talks about in Meditations. He says, "What stands in the way becomes the way." So let's walk through this idea of loving our fate together and how we can apply it to our lives. I know how powerful this idea is because I've seen it change my own life. I've seen it change the life of other people in my community. And it's helped us all get through rejections, losses, failures. You name it. They use this philosophy to help us get through it and come out stronger on the other side. And that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna ask, how can we use the idea of loving our fate to help us get through failure and come back stronger than ever? First, to understand where we're going, we need to first understand where we are. In order for you to get better at dealing with failure, you need to get real about what's happening right now. What exactly are you facing? What's your situation? Because if you don't acknowledge what's happening, you'll never be able to overcome it. Marcus Aurelius says, "He who is unmoved by what happens in life does not grasp his true nature." Be one to try to become more resilient. But you gotta feel the feelings. You've got to actually allow yourself to go through these emotions. So let me ask you, what are you currently struggling with? How are you failing? Maybe it's the fact that you lost your job. Maybe it's the fact that you've been rejected by someone that you really admire. Maybe it's the fact that you didn't achieve a goal that you had hoped to achieve. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, whatever it is that you're failing at, I want you to take a moment to acknowledge it, to sit in it, to try to understand it, and to try to feel it fully so that you can move forward. It might even be helpful for you to write down why you think you're failing. What's causing this problem? Is it a lack of skill? Is it a lack of knowledge? Is it a lack of effort? Is it the fact that you didn't prepare enough? Or maybe there was something external to you that caused this failure. Maybe it wasn't entirely within your control. Whatever it is, write it down and then read it out loud. By doing this, you're acknowledging what's happening. You're trying to truly see your situation for what it is, and you allowing yourself to actually deal with it. Next, you need to ask yourself, what would happen if I didn't fail here? What would happen if I didn't lose this job? If I didn't get rejected? If I did achieve this goal, what would happen? You need to zoom out and ask yourself, am I actually happy with this outcome? Am I actually happy with where I'm at? Am I actually happy with the things that I've achieved? If you're not, then you need to realize that failure may not be such a bad thing. This isn't always easy to do. Sometimes we convince ourselves that we want something, but when we actually achieve it, we find out that we really didn't. Take a moment to reflect on times in your life where you thought you wanted something, but when you achieved it, you found out that it really wasn't what you expected. Maybe it was a new car. Maybe it was a certain grade, maybe it was a relationship. Think about a time when you thought you wanted something, and when you achieved it, you realized you really didn't. By doing this, you're going to realize that maybe failure isn't such a bad thing. Maybe this thing that you thought you wanted, this thing that you thought you needed in order to be happy, it's not actually what you need in order to be happy. This is a very, very powerful thing to realize. And when you realize this, you're going to realize that you can actually make the best out of any situation. Because whether you view your current situation as a blessing or as a curse depends entirely on how you choose to view it, how you choose to interpret it, and ultimately how you choose to respond to it. Marcus Aurelius says, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So once you've done this work and you've kind of figured out what you need to focus on, you need to start asking yourself some questions. First, can I find meaning in this failure? Can I find meaning in this loss? Can I find meaning in this situation? If you can find meaning in your suffering, you can start to turn it into fuel. The Stoics believed that everything happens for a reason. Everything that happens, whether it's good or bad, whether it's under our control or not under our control, happens for a reason. The Stoics called this fatum, and what they believed was that if you could understand why something happened, if you could find a reason for why something happened, you could turn that thing, even if it was negative, into a positive. Think about a time where something bad happened to you, something that you viewed as a curse, something that you viewed as a failure. But over time you came to realize that it was actually a blessing, that it actually served a purpose. Maybe you failed a test and you were upset in the moment, but then you realized that that test wasn't actually that important. It didn't actually teach you anything. It didn't actually contribute to your learning. In the long run, you didn't really fail. You were actually saved from having to learn something that wasn't worth learning. That's a way of finding meaning in your failure. That's a way of turning a negative into a positive. Next, you need to ask yourself, can I improve from this experience? One of the key ideas behind Stoicism is that you should always be growing. You should always be improving, and you should always be moving forward. So when you experience failure, when you experience loss, you need to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to make myself better? How can I use this to make myself stronger? You know, Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try. He failed thousands of times before he was successful. But each time he failed, he learned something. He learned something that made him better, that made him stronger, that brought him closer to his ultimate goal. Oprah Winfrey was rejected dozens of times before she was hired at her first television station. But each time she was rejected, she used that rejection to fuel her, to make her better, to make her stronger. These people, these incredibly successful people, they've all faced rejection. They've all faced failure. But instead of seeing that as a curse, they saw that as a blessing. They saw that as something that could make them better. Lastly, you need to ask yourself, can I control this? This is a very important question to ask because sometimes we worry and we suffer and we freak out about things that are completely outside of our control. If you're experiencing failure, if you're experiencing loss, you need to ask yourself, Is this within my control, or is it outside of my control? Because if it's outside of your control, you need to accept it. You need to surrender to it. You need to realize that you can't control everything. Marcus Aurelius says, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. So, if you're struggling with something that's outside of your control, realize that you have power over your mind. You can choose how you react to this. You can choose how you respond to this. You can choose to make the best out of this situation. This is a big part of Stoic philosophy. The idea of focusing on what you can control, of focusing on what's in your control. When you start to focus on what's in your control, when you stop worrying about what's outside of your control, you're going to find a sense of calm. You're going to find a sense of peace. And you're going to find a way to move forward. So, by asking yourself these 3 questions, by understanding the Stoic idea of loving your fate, you're going to be able to turn any failure into fuel. You're going to be able to turn any loss into a reason for growth. And you're going to be able to come back from failure stronger than ever before. One of the ways that we keep our community strong is by sharing inspiring stories from other people. For the next minute or so, I'm going to share with you a story of someone who overcame incredible odds to achieve success. Thomas Edison was an American inventor and businessman who held over 1,000 patents. He is credited with inventing the first commercially practical incandescent light bulb. But he did not invent it on his first try. In fact, he failed thousands of times before he was successful. Edison's laboratory was filled with the smell of burnt metal and the charred remains of failed experiments. But Edison didn't give up. He kept trying and trying again until he was successful. And when he finally invented the light bulb, it wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. It was also a testament to human perseverance. Oprah Winfrey is another great example of someone who overcame incredible odds to achieve success. Growing up, Oprah was abused by her father, and she was raped at age 9. She became pregnant at 14, but the baby was stillborn. Throughout her early adult life, Oprah experienced a series of personal and professional setbacks. But she never gave up on herself. She went on to become the most successful talk show host of all time, and she has used her platform to help others who are struggling. Now, I could give you a million more examples, but I think you get the point. The people who are successful today are the ones who didn't let yesterday's failures hold them back. They use their failures as fuel to keep them going. They use their losses as lessons to make them smarter, stronger, and better. So I want you to do the same. Don't let your past define you. Don't let your past hold you back. Use your past as fuel to keep you going. Use your past as a reason to make you stronger. Because remember, the obstacle is the path, and the failure is the fuel. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and check out my other videos.